This week on Machinery PTV, we continue following the action at Sullivan's online auction in Morris, Illinois. Today's big ticket item, a 2018 S780 combine. Pete invites us in to the Machinery Pete Pavilion. And this beautiful 1937 John Deere A is saved from the fence row.
Your machinery is a serious investment and at the heart of every farming operation. Some call it a passion. We're Machinery Pete TV, and today we'll cover everything from auction roundups to the classics to the latest trends and technology. Machinery Pete, the most trusted name in farm equipment.
Machinery Pete thanks these premier sponsors for their support. Sullivan Auctioneers. Let our team of professionals show you how to make your auction a success. Visit sullivanauctioneers.com. Hey folks, welcome to Machinery Pete TV. I'm just here hanging out at the pasture, checking out the beautiful horses. We're here in Morris, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. And you might think it's a little quiet for auction day. Tell you what, you'd be right, because it actually isn't auction day. We're filming an online-only farm auction. It's got some great harvest equipment, which we're gonna watch selling, but before we do that, we still need to go back to the studio and catch up on the latest farm equipment news.
All right, thanks Pete. I'm Clinton Griffiths. Harvest 2020 now underway, and it looks like the weather is really helping to get those combines rolling. According to the latest USDA crop progress report, 8% of the corn crop has been harvested. That's just 2% behind the 5-year average. Soybean harvest now 6% done. Corn conditions showing its first increase in several weeks. 61% of the crop now rated good to excellent, a 1% increase over the previous week. As for soybeans, 63% are rated good to excellent. That's the same as last week. And the weather right now looking pretty good for farmers.
Looking at the Midwest specifically, Missouri leads that region with 13% of its corn harvested, but we have had some wet weather in parts of the state that has slowed down harvest. 26% is the 5-year average for Missouri. Meanwhile, to the west, Nebraska getting off to a quick start, 10% on September 20th. That is ahead of the 5-year average of 4%.
For both crops, Iowa continued to have the nation's highest amount of poor to very poor ratings because of the derecho and pockets of drought. Sign up is now underway for the second round of coronavirus aid for farmers and ranchers. The federal government says it will give producers an additional $14 billion to compensate them for the difficulties they've experienced selling their crops, milk, and meat because of the pandemic. The first round of aid was only available to producers who suffered losses before April 15th. Now let's check on some recent auction prices from around the country.
Well folks, if you need a nice corn head, we got an awful sharp one here for you. Luke, tell us about this baby.
Yeah, this is a 2018 model Gearinghoff 12-row 20-inch corn head.
20-inch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's, I don't see them every day.
No, you don't. It's hard to find a 2018 corn head, hard to find a 20-inch corn head. Completely decked out. It's got the end roll cones, the chopping knives in it, the height sense sensors, and it's also got the Yetter stock Devastators that roll underneath it as well.
The Devastator, I did a little feature at a big farm show about a year ago on that. That had a lot of people stopping to look. That's
absolutely.
a nice feature.
Yeah, Yetter's been making those for several years now, and they've been a really popular
What's
item.
been your take on the 20-inch corn heads that you guys have run across and sold over the last year or so, Luke?
Yeah, it's just like anything. A good, nice quality late model one will always sell good. It's not as big of a buyer pool, but the guys that are running 20-inch corn heads, don't have as many to pick from.
Right.
So, you know, if they can find a good deal on a 20-inch corn head, they're all about it.
All right, Dan, we got a corn head now. Late model 2018 Geringhoff Rotodisc Elite XL RD 1200B 12-row 20-inch. What on the 20-inch corn heads? What are you guys seeing where you are?
You know, you don't see a lot of them, Greg. You don't see very many of those 20-inch corn heads. So when you get one up for sale, kind of a specialty type item, it seems to generate a lot of interest because, you know, you're typically, you'll see, you know, a 608C or, you know, 612, or you don't see very many 20-inch corn heads. They're just not on every sale, Greg.
Right. Well, like everything else, a lot of change in agriculture over the decades. Now, I know, Dan, your dad, Don, started Sullivan Auctioneers. What was it, like 41 years ago?
It'll be 41 years this August. 41 years, fall of 1979, just started it from scratch.
What do you think Dad would say or think about these online-only auctions these days? If you could,
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
I don't even know how to answer that, Greg. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I remember when we had sale bills and you never had pictures, and then I remember we put black and white photographs on and thought, you know, we'd really knocked it out of the park, and then started a website and on. It's just the changes. Who knows what'll happen the next 4 years? But you couldn't have dreamed that we'd be doing these online sales and have, you know, bidders from how many states, and it's really awesome.
Well, our corn head sells for $40,000, Dan. What do you think your dad would, if you'd have told him, Dad, I'm going to sell an online auction with a corn head for $40K, what do you think he'd have told you?
I'm sure he would have said, "You boys are dreaming." And he said, "There's no way that would ever happen." I mean, you know, and we come from a farm family, and you know, Dad had a little John Deere 45 combine, and what that would have cost, you know, and now, you know, you're selling corn head for $40,000. You couldn't have made it up.
Okay, folks, another really nice head here. Draper time. Luke, this is a 17 model?
Correct. Yep. Macked on 30-foot flex draper.
Okay. Now, draper heads in general, what have you been seeing here the last year or so?
Strong results. Strong results. Anybody that's ever that has a draper head likes it, and anybody that doesn't have one wishes they did.
Right.
So
you're not going back.
I don't believe so. Not that I'm aware of. So this is a nice example of a late model, well-equipped Macked on head.
Right. All right, Dan, another beautiful head on this sale, a 2017 McDon FD75S. I think it's a 30-foot flex draper. What have you been seeing with draper heads here?
Draper heads have probably gained as much or more momentum in anything. Everybody that has those draper heads, Greg, when you ask them, they wondered how they got by without them. I mean, they really, really like them, and this is an exceptional head here today. Obviously, when you take a look at the line of machinery that we're working on here.
Yeah, I think I looked last night before the sale was winding up this morning, and this thing was already up to like 42.5 or something like that. And again, you're pulling bidders from all over. I think this thing just came in and sold at 48.5. Do you know where the buyer was from on this one by chance, Dan?
It just sold. It went off just a little bit ago. Sold for 48.5. You're right. It was bid to 42.5 last night. I heard Luke and Mac talking about it. But yeah, this head went to Colorado.
Machinery Pete TV, brought to you by Ag Direct. For simple, fast, and flexible equipment financing, ask for Ag Direct. Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.
Well, folks, you've probably heard me talk a lot about the magical 10-year-old mark. Basically, any piece of equipment with an engine, if it's in good condition with lower hours, the buyer demand really ramps up as you get close to that 10-year-old mark because of the favorable comparison versus the high cost of a newer one. Now, there's been a lot of, I would say, school of thought recently that this truth, this 10-year-old mark won't hold because the new Tier 4 DEF engines, that buyers won't want them as much. But I got to tell you, I'm seeing the same trend hold. Now let me give you a couple examples. Here's a picture of a 2012 John Deere S680 combine, 1,537 engine hours on it. Now this sold September 8th on an online farm auction in Oskaloosa, Iowa, and it went for $131,000, which is the highest auction price this year on a 12 model S660. Now here's a look, very interesting data, at the average auction price on a 12 model S660 over the years. Now you can see last year when they were 7 years old, they fell 13.4% in value, whereas this year, getting closer to 10 years old, 8-year-old mark only fell 3.3%. Now I'm seeing the exact same similar trend on John Deere S670s. In fact, the very next day, September 9th, on a farm auction in Mapleton, Minnesota, this 2012 model S670, 930 engine hours on it, sold for $144,000. Same song, different verse here, folks. That's the highest auction price this year on a 12 model S670. Now here's a look at the average auction price over the years on 12 model S670s. And you can see last year they fell 18.3% in value, but this year, look at that, actually up 3.2%. And again, 8 years old now, inching towards that 10-year-old mark. More people want the ones in good condition. You can see the same trend playing out. Now remember, folks, you can check out all this auction price data for free anytime. Just go to machinerypete.com and click on the auction price data link, hop in, knock yourself out, look at all these prices. Hey folks, welcome back to Tractor Tales. We are in Greer, New Mexico, just outside of Clovis. And I tell you what, we found quite a tractor here. This is Jimmy Eshelman. And Jimmy, you have to tell us about your 1937 John Deere A.
It's a 37A. I found it about 22 miles west of here. It was in the fence row for probably at least 40 years.
So in the fence row, we're talking...
The sand up to... The wind had blowed quite a bit since it had been moved.
How long do you figure it was sitting?
Probably at least 40 years, maybe 50. Had to cut about 4 trees out of the way to even drag it out of there.
What made you think when it was sitting in the trees, Jimmy, that you could eventually get to this point?
Just have a vision to redo it. I had redone a couple of others, so.
How long did it take you?
Probably 2.5 years, working a little bit in the wintertime.
And I love on the front here, we've got, is it 4J Farm?
Yes, it's our corporation here is 4J Farm and Cattle.
And
that's our brand.
And you've got it sitting here in the shed that, was it your grandfather built?
Yes, my granddad built it in 1928.
Now your wife Jana, what did she say when you told her you wanted to take this 37A in the trees?
We have a picture of her over there standing there looking at it like I'd lost my mind.
And now I understand you and Jana had the tractor in a local parade?
Yes, yeah. Last year we put it in the parade.
Okay.
And,
what kind of feedback did you get?
We got quite a bit. We got a lot of looks because the old tractors in this part of the country is fading out. So I think people are surprised to see some old Poppin' Johnnies, is what we call them, 2-cylinder, and they'll get some looks.
Hey, stay tuned, folks. Coming up, the feature item on our online-only auction here is going to be some intense bidding on this 2018 John Deere S780 combine. It's got 455 engine hours on it.
Got equipment to sell privately but tired of scams and hassles? Visit machinerypete.com and click Sell Mine. machinerypete.com, the simple and secure way to buy and sell equipment online.
All right, folks, time for our feature item on our online-only auction. I tell you what, a Sharp combine. Luke, this is an 18 model?
Yeah, 2018 model John Deere S780 combine that has just about every option you could put on one.
That's beautiful. I know when I was looking at your website beforehand, it was the one that jumped. How many hours on this baby?
It's got about 450 engine hours, 350 separator.
Okay. Now, Luke, you're a straight shooter, and I know you're going to give me the straight scoop here, but the used combine market, what have you been seeing here in 2020 so far?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been an interesting market. There's a lot of different things going on. The late model, low-houred combines are doing extremely well. The combines that are getting in that 5 to 10-year-old range that are getting some hours on them, which is kind of what a lot of guys have at the moment, have kind of been going in the opposite direction. So we're kind of seeing a pretty big divide between the newer combines and the older combines.
Well, Dan, our feature item on the online auction today, a combine, a 2018 John Deere S780 two-wheel drive. This thing has, what, 455 engine hours on it?
Yeah, really low-hour combine, real nice unit.
Now, I noticed, looking at the online bidding the night before, holy smokes, this thing was getting all kinds of action on it. So how many roughly online bidders were registered total for this event?
We had 668 internet bidders, 37 states, you know, and I don't know how many different countries. It was really awesome.
Now, I know back, you guys had your annual spring sale that this year had to go to an online, and I think it was 3 days, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, it was, Greg. That was one of the ones there that with the change in hourly, basically on the health issues, you know, and this thing escalated. We turned that into an online only auction, and we put it in front of more people than I'm convinced we would have at a live auction. I mean, over 3,000 internet bidders for that sale.
Internet bidders on that event? Man, that is
Over
amazing.
3,000.
So now our combine here, with all that action the night before, winds up selling for $345, very strong price. I think the average, the last 6 I've seen on the S780s this year, the average price $320,558. So again, up to $345, pretty darn strong, Dan.
On these online auctions, when we first went to them, we might be 10 minutes away from an item coming into the ring, and it could be a little bit short of what we thought, and then all of a sudden, there's that last, and the bidding gets extended, and it's a little more we're a little more at ease with the results that we've been having in today's world to watch those final bids come in, Greg.
Folks, if you haven't been to our Machinery Pete Pavilion in the Farm Journal Field Days virtual farm show, you should stop by. Just go to farmjournalfielddays.com, click on the Machinery Pete Pavilion. Got some cool stuff in there. One of the things is a talk I did, sort of the top takeaways that I've got from 30 and a half years covering the auction market, used farm machinery market. I drilled it down to my top 9 rules. And my rule number 1, what I call the magic 10-year-old line. Now basically this is anything with an engine, when it gets to be 10 years old, if it's got low hours and it's in good condition, man, it is just Katie bar the door. The buyer demand for this stuff is through the roof. Now I've definitely seen some examples with used tractors this year. Now, here's one recently. This was a 2010 Case IH Puma 180, sold with a loader, 694 hours on it, went for $94,500 on a farm auction in southeast South Dakota on September 2nd. Now that's a new record high auction sale price by a mile, almost $20,000. Now again, it did sell with a loader, but still very strong price. Now if we back up earlier this year, this 2010 John Deere 8295R with 1,808 hours on it, sold on a farm auction February 11th in Marion, Indiana, and it went for $152,500, highest auction price on a 2010 model 8295R in 5 years. And if you like Massey Ferguson, well, here's one for you folks. This 2010 Massey 8660 with only 850 hours on it, sold on a farm auction in Northeast Ohio August 8th here in 2020, and it went for $94,000, second highest auction price in 3 years. Well folks, I hope you enjoyed today's show where we featured a beautiful line of harvest equipment from the online-only farm estate auction just southwest of Chicago. Boy, really beautiful line of equipment, that S780, $345,000, strong bidding there. Now remember, anytime throughout the week folks, you want to check auction prices on any piece of equipment, just go to our website, machinerypete.com, click on the auction price link. You can hop into over 726,000 prices there on all types of equipment. Tell you what, we'll see you back here next week on Machinery Pete TV. Machinery Pete thanks these premier sponsors for their support. Sullivan Auctioneers. Let our team of professionals show you how to make your auction a success. Visit sullivanauctioneers.com.